and the King, comforter of the Spirit, true intuitive, word, president, full of soul, famous treasure, blessings and giver of life, come and abide us and cleanse us from every impurity, and save our souls, O good. Chapter 1, Enoch is taken. And it came to pass that after this, his name during his lifetime was raised aloft to that Son of Man and to the Lord of spirits from amongst those who dwell on earth. And he was raised aloft on the chariots of the Spirit, and his name vanished among them. From that day I was no longer numbered among them, and he set me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the elect and the righteous. And there I saw the first fathers and the righteous, who from the beginning dwell in that place. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens as I saw the holy sons of God. They were stepping on flames of fire, their garments were white, and their faces shone like snow. And I saw two streams of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth, and I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And the angel Michael seized me by my right hand and lifted me up, and led me forth into all the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of the heaven, and all the chambers of the stars, and all the luminaries, whence they proceed before the face of the holy ones. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens. And I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw the girdle with which girt that house of fire. Which girt that house of fire, and on its four sides were streams full of living fire, and they girt that house. And round about were cherubim, seraphim, and ophanim, and these are they who sleep. This phrase, a thousand thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, is used in the liturgy of St. James. And Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and Phanuel and the holy angels who are above the heavens go in and out of that house. And they came forth from that house, and Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number. And with them the head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed, and my spirit was transfigured. And I cried with a loud voice with the spirit of power, and blessed and glorified and extolled. And these blessings which went forth out of my mouth were well-pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. And he came to me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, This is the Son of Man who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. And he said unto me, He proclaims unto thee peace in the name of the world to come. For from hence has proceeded peace ever since the creation of the world, and so shall it be unto thee forever and forever and ever. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsaketh him. With him will be their dwelling places, and with him their heritage, and they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. And there shall be length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. So does anybody have questions?
I'm new to this Aphanim.
Nathaniel? Yeah.
Is this mentioned elsewhere, or is it unique to this book? The Ophanim angels, along with the cherubim and seraphim.
I know I've seen it elsewhere. Where I don't remember. Uh, there was a there was a very strong influence when the Jews edited the scriptures, because uh, the Sadducees uh, refu denied the existence of angels. They denied the existence of angels and spirits and souls and the judgment and heaven and the afterlife. Um, Now, this document comes um, from the tradition which they objected to, which is this is the tradition of the First Temple. Um, uh, the Sadducees and the Pharisees came out of the Reformation that happened under Josiah, the Deuteronomic reform, which is where are the scriptures that we have come from. Um, uh, so, so this is probably the older Hebrew tradition.
Oh,
Um, so, so for example, um, it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended to the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of God. Okay, the sons of God are mentioned in Deuteronomy. Um, that the number of the nations was divided according to the number of the sons of God. Um, or sometimes it's the angels of God. Um, there was no distinction at this time made between divine beings and angelic beings, or there was a distinction between God, in this case, the Lord of spirits, um, uh, and and the sons of God. So the sons of God were apportioned; they became essentially the gods of those nations. Um, and of course, Yahweh was, this is very early. Yahweh was the God of Israel, assigned to the people of Israel. Um, so, so,
I
but,
have a question. Yeah.
but yeah, but that tradition is long before Moses. It's long before, um, uh, it's from the time of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and perhaps even earlier, because it's echoed in other places in Semitic literature. So, Peter.
thank you.
Oh,
I was a little bit confused, and part of it is I had an internet outage, but like for a few seconds. But it seems like near the end of that chapter, they were referring to Enoch himself as a son of as the son of man,
right,
and they were almost assigning to him some sort of messianic language, which
right.
previously we'd taken as the as references to maybe Christ. Am I confusing things, or is that the way you looked at it as well?
Well, Son of Man was basically, it means human being, literally a son of a human, son of a man. In other words, a human being, a man. Um, but um, but there's obviously, something very special about this.
Right, about Enoch.
Um, and according to the tradition, Enoch was taken up into heaven, and was uh, transformed into the angel Metatron.
Oh, I gotta write that down.
So he's not exactly an apocalypse. He's not a Christ figure as much as he does have. Enoch is often understood to be one of the witnesses um, at the end time, where Enoch and Elijah would be the two prophets who would be brought, because both of them were uh, taken up into heaven without an earthly death. And so they appear in the book of Revelation. At least that's the interpretation of who those prophets are.
Is Enoch the only place where the house is described as being made of crystals, or does that appear elsewhere?
Well, what about Book of Revelation?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So again, it's echoing and it's sort of mirroring or translating.
right. You know, there's a lot of parallels, a lot of similarities between in the Book of Revelation.
And like you had mentioned before, this obviously was a very honored text because Christ himself would refer to it to give validity to his place and his presence and his fulfillment of prophecy.
Mm-hmm. So, as here, he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals, between those crystals, tongues of living fire. And the girdle which girt the house, that were full of fire, and the seraphim, the cherubim, and Ophanim. The seraphim, of course, are these are all levels of or ranks of angels. The Ophanim are often called thrones in English, and they're and in iconography they're pictured as wheels with wings and eyes. The seraphim are the classic six wings with a face in the middle. The wings going up, down, and to the sides. And the cherubim are the living creatures, which are also like the seraphim, except there are four cherubim. They have the four faces: an ox, a lion, an eagle, and a man. And the cherubim carry the throne of God, which is his chariot, um, uh, and can go any direction, any which way. And the Ophanim are also around the throne and guard the throne. So this is a vision of the throne of God in heaven. This is a what do you call it? And the vision of heaven was the core of a whole school of spirituality, which would carry on within Judaism, and then kind of merge into Kabbalah. Now, when Jesus rose from the waters of baptism, he heard the voice of God saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." And then it says, and the heavens were opened. Well, this is what Jesus would have seen when the heavens were opened. This is this classic prophetic vision, and you've got it in Isaiah, you've got it in Ezekiel, you've got it in Daniel. You have it in Jeremiah and various other places in the Old Testament. And so these are the leaders, among the leaders of the angels, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Phanuel, going in and out of the house. And with them the head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. So the head of days essentially is the Son of God. Um, uh, it's uh, is in human form but with white hair and um, uh, well, indescribable raiment. And so you've got the vision of the head of days in the book of Daniel. Shall we look at it?
Sure.
Okay.
Is this where he's also referred to as the Ancient of Days? Is that just another translation? Same thing?
Same thing. Okay. This. So in Daniel chapter 7, as I looked, let's get this. As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames, its wheels were burning. I saw in the night visions, and behold, the clouds of heaven. There came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented to him. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given for the saints of the Most High. And time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. Let's see if it uses head of days. Nope. So um, okay, let's put that back in context. As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames, its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came out from before him. 1,000 served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. I looked then because of the sound of the great words that the horn was speaking, and I looked. The beast was killed, and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. So So the Ancient of Days is the judge. Judgment was given for the saints of the Most High in the time when the saints possessed the kingdom. Now in Enoch, now this construction given in Hebrew, often it's in Hebrew they'll they'll double something to emphasize it, rather than referring to two beings, refers to the same person. Was raised aloft to that Son of Man and to the Lord of Spirits. But I think the "and" here would refer to these are distinct. The Son of Man is one, the Lord of Spirits. In other words, the Son of Man is essentially Christ, and the Lord of Spirits is the Father. But clearly in this text, Enoch becomes a heavenly being. It was another thing the Sadducees didn't like, the idea that a man could be exalted to the heavens. So Daniel calls it Ancient of Days. This text calls him the head of days. He's the creator and therefore he is the head of days. And in our tradition, Christ is the Ancient of Days, because the Father is utterly invisible and incomprehensible. And as one who is Ancient of Days, he shows the sign of that wisdom, with his head white and pure as wool. Then the head of days came, and he came and greeted me with his voice, and he said unto me, This is the Son of Man who is born into righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. Now, it appears he came, that is the head of days, with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and the angels. He came and greeted me and said unto me, This is the Son of Man. So, since this is in the voice of the head of days, it's like he's saying, so this is the Son of Man who is born into righteousness, and righteousness abides over him. And the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him. It's an odd construction for modern English. And so here he said, he proclaims unto thee peace. He, the head of days, proclaims unto thee, Enoch, peace in the name of the world to come. For from hence has proceeded peace since the creation of the world. And so shall it be unto thee forever and forever and ever. and all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsakes him. With him will be their dwelling places, and with him their heritage. They shall not be separated from him forever and ever. So there shall be length of days with that Son of Man, in other words, Enoch, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way, in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. So there is certainly an aspect uh, of messianic language here. Now, this chapter has its own interest, and I would suggest that maybe you all would want to read it yourselves at home, because it's all about the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the seasons, and all of that kind of thing. So this chapter refers to the previous one on the luminaries, but it has much more than that. Would somebody like to read it?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
In those days, the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to thee, that thou shouldst see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures. And in the day of the sinners, the years shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields. And all things on the earth shall alter and shall not appear in their time. The rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward and shall not grow in their time, and the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. And the moon shall alter her order and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear as the seasons prescribe to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as to destroy all. And he said unto me, Observe, Enoch, these heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact. And I observed the heavenly tablets, and read everything which was written, and understood everything, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth to the remotest generations. And forthwith I blessed the great Lord, the King of glory, forever, in that he has made all the works of the world. And I extolled the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. And those seven holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. 1 year we will leave thee with thy son, till thou givest thy commands, that thou mayest teach thy children and record for them, and testify to all thy children. And in the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst. Let thy heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, and shall offer congratulation to one another. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on account of the doings of the godless. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world.
Okay. So any questions?
Vladika?
Please.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow, my Amharic Bible where it has the book of Enoch. And what chapter is because the way I see it, you have 1, 2, 3 on yours. But we're way to like chapter 40 or 41, it looks like, trying to follow. Do you know what chapter? Can you point it out to me?
I don't. Let me look on. I have a copy of the translation of the Ethiopian Bible.
Okay. Yeah, you can put it on the chat or something. Just wanted to see, like I see the Methuselah, and earlier we read about Uriel and the angels and stuff, but I get lost sometimes. But I wanted to refer to that. If you can send it to me, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this is gonna take some time to find it on there. So
Yeah, don't worry about it, Radhika.
All
right.
Okay, actually, okay, I found it actually.
Good.
Okay. I believe it's chapter 73. Nope. Okay. So this is chapter 80 right here. Heavenly Tablets.
Okay. Thank you.
So he goes through this whole, all the luminaries and there was an introduction to it earlier, but then what he talks about is the laws that govern the heavens and the seasons and all of these things. And the number of days in a month and a number of days in the years and all of these things. And then comes this, in which that in the time of the day of the sinners, the years shall be shortened and their seed shall be tart. In other words, tardy on their lands and fields. In other words, all of this will be disrupted. And the earth shall alter and not appear in their time. The rain shall be kept back, the heavens shall withhold it. The fruits of the earth and the fruits of the trees shall be withheld, and the moon shall change its orbit, and those and many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order. They shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. Now, if you remember, in the earlier chapters, it talked about there's a special abyss to punish the angels of the stars and the planets for not if they were not obedient to the rule of God, and we're in their and did not appear on in the times and places and orbits and paths that had been prescribed. And so the chiefs of the stars, remember, in this text, the stars are animate beings. There's noetic beings, spiritual beings like angels. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on earth shall err concerning them. They shall all be altered from their ways. Yea, thou shalt err and take them to be gods. In other words, the people would begin to understand or to believe that the stars and the heavenly beings were gods. And evil shall be multiplied, and punishment shall come upon them so as to destroy all. And so Enoch reads these tablets that are presented to him, and the book of all the deeds of mankind, of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth to the remotest generations. Then he tells him to teach all of these things to his son Methuselah, so that he can pass them on to his children, and they to their children. That no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, and that they'll leave him in place for 1 year, but then they will take him up. Now, remember, this supposedly is set in the time before the flood. Remember, we just went through the book of Noah the last time. Those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, be taken away on account of the doings of the godless. In those days they ceased to speak to me, in other words, the angels, and I came to my people blessing the Lord of the world. Okay, shall we move on? Okay, who wants to read this chapter?
Okay.
Okay, go for it.
1 year to record. And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee and writing down for thee. And I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and see that thou deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children that will be of thee, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom that passeth their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. Blessed are all the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, and the reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the four which are intercalculated, which divide the four portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them, men shall be at fault and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately. For they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded forever, one in the first portal, and one in the third, one in the fourth, and one in the sixth, and the year is completed in 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact. For the luminaries, the months and festivals, and years and days, has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Lord of the whole creation of the world has subjected the host of heaven. And he has power over night and day in the heaven, to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars which set in their places and in their seasons and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their order, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands are intercalated between the leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Milkiel, Helim, Melech, and Melial, and Naral. And the names of those who lead them: Adnaral and Eusasael and Elomiel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations. This is very, very difficult, that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melchiel rises first and rules, who is named Tamaini and son, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose, flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berkael, Zalebsel, and another who has added a head of 1,000, called Helujeseph, and the days of the dominion of this are at an end. The next leader after him is Halemelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all of the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of days on earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things shall take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gildaljal, Keel, and Heel, and the name of the head of 1,000 which is added to them, Asphael, and the days of his dominion are at an end.
Well, that was a valiant valiant effort at trying to pronounce those crazy names. What's interesting about this that does date this as being from the First Temple period is that it's a solar calendar. He's talking about 12 months, 4 seasons, 364 days. But he doesn't mention the cycles of the moon. Now, the Hebrew calendar, current Hebrew calendar, which has been in effect since Josiah and the radical reform, is a lunar calendar, which is why Pascha moves around so much, because it follows it. It's in relation to the Jewish Passover, and which moves around in the same way, only with different criteria. So this was this reflects a tradition that goes back, probably to Solomon's temple, 3,000 years, and of course before that. So there, in other words, Solomon's temple was the old calendar, whereas what the Deuteronomic reform brought in was the new calendar. And there were people who were stubborn, the Orthodox, who wanted to be stubborn about keeping the old calendar and not going on to the new calendar. And so they rejected the temple of the new calendarists. Nothing has changed. 3,000 years, nothing has changed.
We should rename this chapter "Calendars Matter."
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this whole section, this is, and I think it's valuable to know that in the there was a real well, I mean, there was a dispute over the calendar, obviously, because it's a completely different way of structuring the year. So for example, the Ethiopian Church uses a lunar calendar, and it has 13 months, following the Jews, but the Reformed Jewish calendar, as opposed to the more ancient calendar. So that dates the time that the Judaism went into Ethiopia, sometime after the Deuteronomic reform. Now, this next section is quite long. And it's and what it is, it's a parable, and it's the history of Israel put into the form of a parable. So I'd rather not get into it tonight, because this is an hour in and of itself. and it's well over 100 verses. So okay. So are you all enjoying this? I hope.
I am.
It's very interesting for sure.
Yeah. Well, astronomy was very important in the ancient cultures. And the astronomy is, as you can see, is completely tied to the calendar, and it's also the calendar of feasts and and of events, and as well as the agricultural cycle, when to plant, when to harvest, all of these kinds of things. Um, and and even here you can see how it's tied to the uh, well, I mean, and they don't even go into the feasts here. It just talks about the seasons of the year. Um, but you can see the, I would say, the pagan influence um, on the culture, because a lot of this would was not specific to the Jews, but this idea of the names of the stars and the months and the spe well um, noetic beings that they represented or manifested. So um, so what are the comments?
My first experience honoring the angels was at Michaelmas at a Lutheran church. I was wondering what's the Orthodox parallel, or do you have a special day of the year that honors the archangels?
Oh yeah, we've got several dates during the year. Actually, every Monday
Oh
we
wow.
honor the angels. And then there are several feasts. There's the day after the Annunciation, which is Annunciation is Monday, actually. And so the Feast of the Archangels is on Tuesday. Um, so Gabriel in particular. Um, and then there's a Feast of Michael and all the angels. And then there's a couple of miracles of Michael that are commemorated. So the angels play a very big role in Orthodoxy, and people are very conscious of them. In fact, in our liturgy, um, the we have one of the major prayers of the liturgy is asking that God will send all the holy and archangels to uh, enter into the Holy of Holies and celebrate with us. So the idea is that when we celebrate the liturgy, we're entering into the angelic liturgy of the kingdom of heaven, um, and so that the earthly liturgy becomes a participation in the heavenly,
Mm.
um, with the angels, and also the clergy um, are at the cathedral in at St. John's. Um, look at the icons in the altar. Um, it's very valuable because um, the what it is, it's angels dressed as priests, vested as priests and deacons, presenting the gifts to Christ, who is the great high priest.
Is that through the doorway of the iconostasis?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's through, if you look through there, you have somebody take you up to let you look in the door.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it won't be the middle doors. It'll be the side doors, but you can see just as well.
Well, I'm certainly appreciating this study of the hidden texts or whatever you want to call them, just because it's helping my appreciation because, we're now reading Isaiah and Genesis every day as part of our readings, and it just helps put everything more into a deeper context because this scripture wasn't written overnight. It sort of built upon tradition and tradition. So yeah, I'm certainly appreciating the time you're spending to explain some of the historical background to it as well, which helps again put it into context and relatable to both the Old and the New Testament as we go through this season.
Well, it's now I think it would be a very interesting thing having, especially if you go back through that chapter on the heavenly luminaries, the one that we skipped. Read through that, and then look at the book of Job, because there's a lot that is parallel.
Okay, because that section that you skipped, I did read it myself at home, but I had to break it into sections because a lot. It's like the section with the sheep. That was a lot too, to sort of.
Oh yeah.
It's in one, I sort of had to, but I am actually reading Job as well this week on my own. It's not part of our daily readings that we're supposed to do. So I will do that. I'll try and make that connection now. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's as close as the Old Testament gets to this kind of calendrical, and then all of the various storehouses of the winds and of the rains and the hail and the frost and the wind and all that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I personally always read Job again at this time of the year as well. It's just something that I personally have always done. So.
Well, the speculation is that by the scholars is that Job is the oldest document in the Old Testament.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. You're going to help me win a pub trivia night, see, with all this little tidbits.
Tagging onto that, I have a quick question. What is the feeling about Job as a person? Is he a real person or is he a
Literary
symbolic? Yeah, is he a
I think generally, we have a feast of Job. And so obviously the tradition regards him as a person. He wasn't a Jew. He was something like, one of the somewhere it talks about how many generations he is from Adam. And he didn't live in Palestine. I think he lived in Assyria. Civilization goes back a long way. So, but these categories of, righteousness before God, and the book of Job shows that, are not just about the people in covenant with God. So that would be an interesting book to go through. Actually, a lot of the Old Testament is. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Radhika, when you were describing about the seraphim and cherubim, we have icons in the Ethiopian churches showing those. with 6 wings, like for seraphim. I never understood that. And today is the first time I hear about it, But the icons for them show them exactly like that, with 6 winged. And their eyes are distinct and really wide. Actually, the Ethiopian iconography shows all the saints and everything like with wide eyes. But cherubim and seraphim, now I know, better description. So just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
I can find it. Okay. I have a really interesting picture of an icon in an ancient church in Georgia. So isn't this interesting?
Very interesting.
Yeah. So I couldn't get the whole image in this, but the six wings, with the face of a man, the face of an ox, the face that should be a lion, and up above is the face of an eagle. Then you've got his hands and his feet. I've never seen an image quite like this anywhere else, but it makes sense. But this is a cherubim. Okay. Okay, here you can kind of see there. So you have the eagle up here. So this was an amazing place. It's a 14th century church. Anyway, this is that church. And the icons, well, the church is actually much earlier. It's 9th or 10th century. The iconography is from the 14th century, which was one of the highest expressions of Byzantine iconography. And it's obviously never been restored. This is the church outside. So anyway. All right. So anybody have anything else? So tomorrow night we have the Great Canon of St. Andrew. Yeah. Friday, Friday we have pre-sanctified for the Mother of God, the Akathist, and then Saturday at the monastery. I understand, right? Kelly, is that right? That's what you put in the bulletin. Anyway, the liturgy, the singing of the akathist and the liturgy following for the Mother of God will be Saturday morning at 9:00.
Okay.
At the monastery. So.
And if we're coming tomorrow night, we're supposed to bring food, right? Are we still having food afterwards or not?
No.
No, we're not? Okay. Okay.
I don't think so anyway. So.
That makes it easier then.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Hold on, Fladika. I have it pulled up.
Okay.
I have Friday, April 4th. Yes, Saint Demetrios, Liturgy of the Presanctified Gifts. And is there was unclear to me whether these daytime ones all have a potluck meal following out. So I did not put anything, but maybe I need to clarify that.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We will eat after those.
Okay. So hopefully that's generally understood. I can send out an extra. But yes, Friday.
I imagine it's understood.
Okay. It's getting busy.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh yeah.
Crazy season.
Just wait until Sunday. Yeah. So, all right, let's pray. It is truly me to bless thee, Theotokos, ever blessed and most blameless, the mother of our God, more honorable than the cherubim, more glorious beyond compare than the seraphim. Without corruption, thou gavest birth to God the Word, the very Theotokos, we magnify thee. The blessing of the Lord be upon you through his grace and love for mankind, always now and ever and into ages of ages. Amen.